Hey students, welcome to episode 30 of the Film Student Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Lazzeroni. The show is back to our old format, sort of. This week I got a chance to interview Grace Kuhlenschmidt from the newly graduated Orange Cohort, but she wasn't on her own. My former guest, Bridey Hicks, wanted to join in on the interview because, as she put it,
I wanted to come on and talk to one of the coolest people I've met here.
We talk about Grace's idea that she is not a writer, and we also discuss the process behind her final project, Men's Health Clinic. On with the show.
I graduated from Skidmore College in May of 2017, and I was a media and film minor there. And honestly, so I knew I wanted to move to Chicago. Truly, I moved here 3 days after graduating, and before I found out that I got into the program. Mm-hmm. But I think I applied because I think it was partially a little bit of pressure on my parents not wanting me to just move to Chicago with the overall goal of comedian. Sure. And I'm still directly out of college, so it wasn't insane for me to do another year. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And here you are.
And here I am. And boy, was term 1 and term 2 tough. But term 3, I really got the hang of it.
What made 1 and 2 tough?
I just don't like homework. That was my thing, was
or it was just, so they tell us in the beginning of this, it's a very wide set of skills that you learn at first, and then it just goes in and in and in until you're in term 3 and have boom, 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 boom things that you're focusing on rather than just a huge bowl of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I think by term 3, I finally figured out what I was more interested in. Yeah. And which is I could not have done without going through term 1 and term 2.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But they were just harder terms. And I think just I'm a wild child, and I didn't want to do homework. I wanted to go out.
Yeah, and you still did.
Yeah, I still did.
Well, they told us when we got here that it's a diamond shape as far as the amount of work that you're doing.
Totally.
You start out in term 1 and it's very light at the beginning, and you're oh, is this all it's going to be? And then you get to the middle of term 2 and you're dear God, I'm dying.
Yeah. Right.
And then tapers off as you get towards the end. Although there seems to be kind of a little kick out at the end when everybody freaks out about their final film and final script and everything.
I agree with that. The difference, I think, is that my brain is so geared towards production and scheduling, and I'm a total planner. Mm-hmm. So even though that was a lot of work, it was easier for me because I was
sure, yeah.
It made me excited to do that. Whereas other people in our cohort, it's the idea of emailing someone is frightening.
God, I love emails. I really no. I have so many emails to people who are just hey, how's it going? Get back to me soon. But just friends. I don't think I've done it to you, but I've done it to most of my friends.
That's so interesting. I've never gotten that email from you.
Wow. Well, maybe it's just telling of the state we're in.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
I'll hit you an email.
Thank you.
Later.
There are some very semi-fake smiles going on between the two of them, just for the audience that can't see this interaction.
Right. I want to punch her so bad, square in the face. I want to see her bleed.
Fucking punch me.
So why'd you end up coming specifically here? Have you been wanting to do comedy stuff? Were you doing that stuff before when you were in school?
Yeah, so Skidmore, which is where I went, there's a huge comedy group scene. The National College Comedy Festival is there, and I was involved with that since sophomore year of college. And by the time of senior year, I had done a summer in Chicago at Second City in the comedy studies program, and I think just by senior year I was serious enough about comedy. And I'm from Los Angeles and did not want to go there because that's where I'm from, and I think I would just get stuck in a hole of high school
too hot
stuff. And then New York just seemed too, I don't know, not as friendly.
Yeah.
This comedy scene here is ridiculous.
It's really,
sick. I'm mostly involved in the improv scene, and it's so incredibly supportive. It's stupid at times. It's does no one want to beat each other out? no, we're all just like, oh yeah, and you do my show and you do my show.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And I truly don't think that happens in New York.
Sure.
Yeah, New York's tougher. I mean, it's. I actually just heard an interview with McNapier that he was talking about, like how I guess they opened up a training center there for annoyance in New York, and how they were really kind of, there was a lot of animosity towards them for doing that. And I'm like, that's messed up. Just like, it's another approach, and yeah, it might be different, but yeah. So you decided to come here specifically, and then like what kind of you mentioned that you figured out what you like doing in term 1 and term 2. What kind of stuff is it sketch? Is it short film? Is it television, movies? Where are you going?
So the teachers get mad at me when I say I'm not a writer, but I don't feel like a writer. Like I can write anything up to 7 pages. And otherwise, like, I have no motivation. It doesn't inspire me. Nothing about a screenplay makes me want to like lock myself in a Starbucks, you know? But a sketch, it's like I'll write that on my phone like so quickly.
Sure, yeah.
And I mean, it's like sketch, but the difference between sketch and short film, I guess, is like a pretty blurry line. But so I don't even know if my short film is a sketch or a short film.
I always put it as, does it have like a beginning, a middle, and an end? Like that is that's a short film that it's there's a story arc, versus a sketch is like find the joke, hit it out. Like that's
like,
how
do you
I
have
always,
a game, I guess?
Yeah. And so that's how I've separated the two, because you can have a sketch that's 20 minutes, you can have a short film that's 3. You know, it's totally fine in both cases, but I think it's kind of the story that you end up telling.
Totally.
If you actually get to know characters and want to feel something for a specific character over another one, if there's a protagonist, antagonist, versus a sketch is everybody could be on equal footing.
Yeah.
Totally.
I feel like I super want to be a sketch writer, but I'm just not. Like every time I write, it's like, and then she cried. Like something very dramatic, but also like with comedy in it. But I'm like, fuck, sketch is really cool. Sketch is really cool.
It's
and
cool.
Like very, very smart, I would say.
And very difficult to get anywhere with it, it seems. Like there's not many shows out there that do it, and the ones that do it are like, you know, SNL.
Still want,
Yeah.
And Mad TV that did great for it for years and years and years. And just, it's tough to overcome those ones.
Yeah.
Key and Peele. How do you beat that?
Right.
True.
But I think that's like why we work so well together. It's because like you kind of pull on my like farce comedy, kind of alt comedy strings, and I feel like I kind of like tug your little heart.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like very different forms of comedy, but it's like the sweet spot for both of us.
So what stuff have you two worked on together?
Just one thing. No.
We like to do drugs on the weekends, and I'd say that's collaboration. No, we don't do drugs, actually. So
Glad we got this recorded.
yeah, me too.
We don't do drugs. Let's see. You worked. You were very high
both
up in
of
mine.
our term 2 projects we did together.
Oh yeah. Fuck, that was so fun.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I work best with like a very small crew. That's just like, okay, let's improvise. Because like I'm not an improviser, so like I just like to see improvisers just go.
It's a show for you.
Yeah.
Like you're putting together improv shows just for yourself, and you just happen to have a camera there with you. Okay.
Yeah, so Bridey's term 2 was
my boyfriend.
a story about a pillow.
You're right. It wasn't my boyfriend Joe.
And it was literally just you and me as the crew. And Chris for a little bit.
For a second, and then he had to go to work.
Yeah.
That was so fun. I think Adriana was talking about, so she was the girl in my thing. And this was the pillow sketch that I was talking about that like completely got ruined.
Oh.
I feel like in our term 1s, we also did them just us plus Chris.
Yeah.
Like
I would say you helped me on every single project that I did when it comes to anything production wise.
Right.
I mean, except for like small, little videos that I filmed just with Andrew. But
yeah, I think I would like mostly say the same for you.
Yeah. I mean, the bigger picture ones are then my term 2, Bridey was DP.
What was that one?
It's called Outside With You. it's a parody of there's these 2 movies that came out in the past 2 years about middle school, high school girl, like a high school girl who is so sick that she can't leave her house, but then she meets a boy who fixes her.
Yeah.
Like her disease goes away essentially.
Didn't he make one of those?
Jack
oh,
Newell?
he did. His
Yeah.
new movie. Well, he like got brought on.
Oh my god, is that what it's about?
Yes, dude. I just
it's a
realized
girl who
that.
has cancer and overcomes the cancer only to not tell people that she overcame it because it's like helped her out socially and emotionally, and like she's grown closer to people, and so she doesn't tell them that she's better.
My kind of girl. Oh.
Wow. I watched the trailer and I didn't get any of that.
Oh. Tell Jack. Jack.
I thought it was just high school fun.
Jaxie Newell.
So yeah, that was term 2, and that was really fun. I think that was a very successful project.
Yeah.
And then term 3, I was what was it? Why am I blanking?
Your term 3?
That you're gonna see
No,
on
your
a big
term
screen
3.
tomorrow.
I was AD.
Oh, on
Is that
my
what I
term 2?
was? On your term 3.
Yeah, you were AD
Okay,
on my term 3.
cool. I'm just like
Where were you?
here.
There's a trailer for her. If you need to see the trailer for Bridey's, you
Yeah.
can go
Do
to
you need a
filmstudentpod.com.
I just forgot what my role was.
It's about 2 friends who embark on a night of catharsis when
Catharsis,
faced with a trigger
catharsis,
that brings back a
catharsis.
heavy heartbreak. You
Wow.
remember?
Yeah, I remember Bridey. I remember it, folks. I just forgot. Okay?
Okay.
It all
you're
blurs
trippy.
together after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really collaborative. Also, that was like a 3-day shoot or just 2?
It was 2, but also 3.
Mm-hmm. And that was just a big,
'Cause you
like
had 2
both of ours were
overnights.
big
Yeah.
productions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
what was
know.
yours? What was your term 3?
My term 3 is called Men's Health Center. Bridey was my director of photography. And it's an adaptation of a New Yorker article from 2014 by Ben Journey. And it's a story of a young boy who gets hit by a car while on his bike, and he's saved by a stronger new friend.
Right. Played by Thomas Kelly.
And
So cute.
Andrew Ubeline plays the
Yes.
younger boy. And then the nurse is played by Eric Rahill, and the doctor is played by Ian Owens. And
They're all so good.
Yeah, they're all really-
Oh man, you hit the jackpot.
I totally did.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to see them just like be like, yeah, okay, like I'll take that another way, because aren't they like extremely good improvisers?
Yeah. So who do I start with? So Thomas Kelly was on this improv team, an indie team called Sand, that was like very well known in the improv scene, considered like one of the best indie teams for sure.
Oh, cool.
And then Eric Rahill is on like a house team at IO, one of the Harold teams, and just like does a lot of comedy all over. And then Ian Owens was on a touring company here at Second City. And like I just really could not have been more. It was the type of thing where like I, texted them so many times afterwards, like, again, oh my God, you guys rock. Thank you so much.
Every time you
Couldn't
look at
thank
some
you-
footage and
Couldn't
you
thank
just
you
like go
enough.
back. Yeah.
And then all of their texts back would be like, sure.
Oh, that's so good.
Or like emoji with sunglasses.
You're like, stop it. We heard all this.
Yeah.
Stop it.
no way, that's so funny.
So what? So have you like? Is it completely finished? Is it a case where you're just putting up where it's at in the process now for what screens tomorrow? Or because I know there's some people, like I talked to Chris about Hinkle Knows Best, and he's like, yeah, it's done enough to see, but it's not done.
Sure.
Like,
I feel like that's like a thing with most of our films.
Well, I just don't know how you could truthfully like complete a final film
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
mm,
Like post-production, it's like, we had a deadline. It was 11 a.m. on a couple Mondays ago, and it was like I sent mine in before 11 a.m. and then at 11 a.m. I was like, I could spend 5 more minutes and it would be even more complete.
Right.
And then I could spend 4 more hours. It's like just so what will be seen at the screening is not a final draft, but it's pretty damn close to it.
mm,
The only major changes are like I added in a few more sound effects.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
color correcting is not done, and still figuring out rolling credits.
Me too. Mine aren't rolling at all. Actually, they're just like boom.
My like
down.
left and right side, so like left side being like the titles, and then right side being the names. They roll at different paces.
Oh, I love it.
So, like,
so
and I spent so much time trying to figure. I watch a lot of YouTube tutorials,
Yes.
and
I just do credits with I go into Photoshop and I just make a big long file, and then I
Fucking
type it all up in there and
and
just
then
have that
as
animate.
a photo.
Yeah, just have it animate.
That's really smart.
Are you kidding me? I'm like looking at you with eyes right now. Are you kidding? I was like sobbing the night before. I just couldn't get it.
I've done
I
it with
didn't do
Pages
it.
before too. Just made a Pages document and just had that scroll.
Whoa.
Just took
Oh my
made a black backdrop,
God.
white text, and yeah, just had that scroll.
Well,
it works.
That's a hack I will use for a lifetime.
Wait, I know why we couldn't figure it out.
Why?
We're girls.
Oh, wah, 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 wah.
Oh man, we exchanged a lot of texts though. Like, why can't you figure it out?
And you're like, I'm here, but I'm gonna go to bed, but I'm here for you. And I was like, okay.
Were you the one that posted at like 2 a.m. the
Yes.
morning before submission about was
Crying?
it about the credits, rolling the credits?
Oh yes,
And
that would have been me.
That one cracked me up because you had like a trailer out and you had like you were social media'd up for yours.
I know,
like,
man.
And I was to hear you like still scrambling at the last minute. I'm like, how is that happening?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was gonna be the easiest thing, and it is
I did
actually
too.
the hardest fucking thing. And I was like, oh no, like I completely fucked myself.
Well, just to kind of pat Bridey's back quickly though,
Yeah.
I think at every point of term 3 and a little bit of term 2 and term 1 also, Bridey was always a step ahead of everyone else in terms of production.
That's very
like
nice.
pre-production, planning, writing, and everything in post. You always were like on it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm watching you do the 1,000-mile stare.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, I am tired, and no, I did not shower today. Thank you, though.
Additional information not needed, but
Right. Thanks. Yeah, I tried really hard. Really, really, really hard.
I'm proud of us.
I know.
I think we like really killed. And we so one of the theaters I perform at most is the Crowd Theater. This is a huge plug, the best theater in Chicago and maybe the smallest theater in Chicago.
the crowd.
But we got to show our films like even before, like a while ago, like 2-3 weeks
2
ago.
days ago.
So they were like for real drafts.
Nice.
Yeah.
But we got to show them to a crowd of like maybe 25 people.
And they were super well received.
Yeah, and that was very cool.
Yeah. I also do think, like, just playing a little devil's advocate here, that, like, we were kind of preaching to the choir a little bit because it was just, like, all of those people kind of shared the same sense of humor as us. But it was still, like, really cool.
But that's how I think most media works nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
you don't the network stuff that appeals to broad audiences kind of circle in the drain, and the bigger stuff is the Netflix and Hulu
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, where it's very targeted
Yeah.
as
Totally.
far as who they're trying to actually get to watch it, and it is about finding that niche that's big enough to support a channel.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah, there's some of the specific networks like Sci-Fi and stuff like that have just taken off because they just found that right niche and just exploit the hell out of it. So I don't think it's
yeah.
bad to be able, if you can make your audience laugh, then
Yeah.
you're in good standing.
Yeah.
I also think that's something that they stress here at the school is like you should never have a project that's like, I don't know who's gonna like this.
Yeah.
Like no, you should know exactly who's gonna like it, and you should start with something specific, and it'll get more broad from there.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like I think both of our films are like pretty easily geared towards 20-year-olds around, you know,
20s.
millennials, whatever. But like the audience expands from there.
Yeah. Right. Sure. Yeah. I also might have just been projecting there. I'm like, oh yeah, it didn't mean anything. My film sucks. But no, I'm very, no, it really,
Honestly, so just from the production value and the trailer from yours, it looks awesome. Like, and it's I think just generally the production value across the board for this group
Yeah.
is far higher than it has been. I only know of a couple people who shot with like the school cameras.
Yeah.
Like everybody else rented something, found somebody with something else, borrowed a somebody's nicer camera or something like that. Everybody got better audio. Everybody, worked on trying to make it stronger than it otherwise would have been.
Sure. Yeah. Danny Marshall's looks beautiful.
Because he shot it on a Red.
He did?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, not Danny Marshall. Sorry, Danny Marshall's was on my camera.
Yeah, I was like, wait, no.
No, I'm thinking Daniel's. Danny Ramis, his is on a Red.
I haven't seen any of his. We haven't seen a lot of our classes.
Well, because
No,
you've only seen Orange because you watch dailies and stuff like that.
Yeah, but some people stop showing up.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Which is whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see everyone's.
Yeah, there's gonna be somewhere Daniel's. I think I read his script, but that's all I know about it.
Yeah.
I was on set doing sound, and he had to ADR all of it.
You're kidding.
Well, it wasn't my fault. But it was just like so we went into the suburbs, and then there was like planes going over and like gardeners and construction workers. It was just like, my God, we can't catch a break.
Yeah, we ran into some of the same kind of stuff with Jeff's trying to shoot outdoors, and like he had his dad go around and like ask all the neighbors, "Hey, can you just not be like mowing your lawn during this like 3-hour block?"
Yeah.
And yeah, so it generally worked out, but yeah, it's all stuff you've got to consider.
Yeah,
you're gonna hear all of that. So how do you work around it?
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you guys know this answer, but like if you get a permit for, let's say, like 1,200 Ashland to 1,500 Ashland.
So like a block or 3 blocks?
Yeah, sure. Does that mean that all the businesses have to either like shut down or like not have anyone on the streets, or is it just for you to be there filming?
It is just for you to be there filming, and then I don't know how if Chicago works the same way. In DC, I know whenever you get a film permit, they provide at least one uniformed officer that's on site for
that's cool.
security /
Get a cop.
Yeah,
I want a cop on my next.
Mom, I want a cop for Christmas.
But you get at least one person that's there for the length of the shoot, basically to help with redirecting traffic and protecting the production on some level,
right?
Make sure theft doesn't happen in broad daylight, that sort of thing. But
sure.
it's still tough to work in those situations because businesses, you can't tell businesses to close. That's evil.
Yeah.
Like there's
totally,
the city can't cause a business to shut down just arbitrarily. Like they would need some sort of due cause for that.
Oh,
but
sure.
Yeah.
Can we do a friendship speed round?
Sure.
Okay, great. Just give us some questions.
Are you making a segment?
I have a question.
I'm forcing a segment onto your podcast.
I have a question I want you to answer on me.
All right.
This is what I ask a lot of my friends. This is how you really know me. What's my favorite meat?
Oh.
Bacon?
Prosciutto?
No.
Turkey.
It's just chicken, folks.
Oh.
Really? It was an absolute softball.
What's my favorite? Cheese.
I got this.
You got this. What's my favorite cheese?
Brie.
Yes!
Oh my God,
Fuck.
cool.
Okay, well, I feel like shit.
I am a better friend.
And that was friendship speed round.
That was really fun. That was really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Just because, when you graduate stuff, you wonder who you're going to continue to be friends with. And now I know that I will need to cut things off with Bridey as soon as possible.
Fast.
Yeah.
And I don't need Grace in my life, so.
Right.
Speaking of, what comes after this? What are you trying to do?
Marriage.
Speaking of cheese, marriage.
Oh, whoops.
Speaking of cheese, I'm hoping to work at a cheese shop.
That's actually very true.
Yeah. And no, I'm not lying at all. I moved to Chicago initially to perform, and I do perform like a solid 2 nights a week, but I want to be performing more like 5 nights a week. So I think that I spent this past year heavy in production, gonna spend this next year real heavy in performance. So improv, sketch, and I doubt I'll try stand up again because I've heard bad things, but Who knows?
It's fun. You black out and then it's over.
So yeah, gonna spend this next year. Like I was thinking about, it would be really cool to, you know, have a production job doing something, but I think I just need to like, why I initially moved here. Like I need to try it out. I'm 23. I feel like I'm still young enough to like, as long as I'm making enough for rent, I can be okay for now.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
My kids and my wife are gonna be pissed, but
no, I feel like kind of like a little like soccer mom for like. Actually, I've only seen you perform once. Half. I've seen one scene that you've performed, like not in Harold.
And then
you
you watched
smaller
me.
every
You
time.
watched
I
me
saw
on
two lines
the.
that
You watched me on the TV at Spliff.
That's very true, but I couldn't make you out. Like it was a very low definition camera.
Sure.
It was just like thermal heat or something.
Thermal camera. This is how they
an
show their
improv
shows
set.
to their.
It's just all cold.
Yeah.
That's his concept for a film right there. I'm just gonna shoot an entire thing with a thermal camera.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm good with new trends, so. No, but like I can't wait for you to like perform and see a show and see more shows.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you're really cool. And
Well, what kind of stuff do you want to?
out sometime? What?
No. Like what? What kind of stuff do you want to do in the long run?
I'm torn between. Well, I've always wanted to act.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like ever since like college, I guess I wanted to act. So I think that's kind of like my main goal. But I really am into production.
Mm.
Like I've assistant directed on like a bunch of stuff here, and I think it's like geared towards my like randomly bitchy personality.
Yeah. I think that's
it's like I'm all
true.
fun and games, and I'm like, everyone needs to shut up right now.
Yeah.
And it works.
Which
people probably hate me for it.
Yeah.
But
I found that there are some people that are like the fun and games people that are just excellent ADs. Like Chris does a really good job ADing too, and it's so weird because he's bits on bits on bits until he gets on set, and then he's like, "We got to work."
Yeah, you can like switch on and off so fast. It's kind of
Totally.
weird sometimes. It's like, wait, who are you? Wait, what? I've lived with you for a year, and
Who is this person?
Now I understand.
Bridey, what are you gonna do after this?
Well, what a great question, Grace. Thank you for asking.
Oh my God, my pleasure.
I want to turn that question over to you, Tony. What are you doing this next year?
I still haven't finished the program. I've got time yet.
You're right.
Stupid
I haven't
question,
figured that
Bridey.
out yet.
All right. I'll talk about myself then.
I can have you on when we interview me.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Hey, a little Facebook chat? Like, who wants to interview me on my podcast?
I actually have had people ask me if they can come
sure.
do it. Like so.
Yeah. I see that.
Somebody will probably do that at some point in time. I haven't decided to.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like do some PA jobs, paid PA jobs, for like
Keyword paid.
Yeah, keep paid PA jobs. And like just on like shows, maybe like Chicago Fire or Easier, those things. And then simultaneously maybe work in like a job that I don't have to really think about. So I can be a person and create rather than like I feel like I'm like so new to this, and I'm sure you feel the same way, that I get like very fatigued fast with creating a lot of stuff at one time. So I want to savor that energy.
Well, it's that whole approach that you got to have life experiences to make life experiences, like to write about them. So the whole idea of, you know, somebody being creative and just going and holding themselves up in a room and writing something great, it's not going to happen. Like you have to go experience things to be able to pull from reality.
Which I think is one of the hardest parts about the program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it, for some, it's probably so easy to like go home every single night and not talk to anyone because it's like you have like 2 hours of homework to do, and then you know, or like literally 8 hours of homework to do, and then that's like oh my God, Bridey.
I'm watching Bridey go through PTSD right in front of me.
No, I just find it so amazing that people crank out so many pages so fast, and like the imagination some people have here is really cool. but I know that like there's a saying that like the first 10 years of writing, it's never gonna not be about you, like in some capacity. So
yeah, I've got that with a couple of my classmates that they've had relatively traumatic events recently in their lives, and they can't separate their work from that.
Yeah,
like
100%.
it's what they're making is still very tied to it, even if it is a different type of person that, you know, in the story they're still experiencing some other angle of the same thing that they went through.
Yeah, I think like my term 3 was like maybe like I don't know, like 10 cents true, you know?
Really?
Yeah, like so like not very true, but like a little, like there was an idea and then it just like fiction all around it, you know? Which I think is so cool.
So like the one that I'm writing for my final is it's based on something that actually happened, and then just like a thought experiment that like kind of extrapolates out from there. So like 99% of it never happened.
Sure, yeah.
Like the very first 5 minutes, that's the only thing that happened, and even that is like heavily embellished.
Right, yeah.
And so, but then it's just kind of takes off from there. So I think you that's the only real way to be able to play around with stuff, is to have that anchor point of the thing that is true. Like, was your thing, was it the spawning idea of that film, or was it or is it just something that's kind of tossed in along the way?
Something that is kind of tossed in along the way.
Okay. So where did the idea come from?
I got heartbroken.
Yeah.
And I was pissed.
So that's the reality?
Yeah.
But that did come from personal experience.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like a little drop of something true that's like my truth, but then completely fictionalizing.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool that we can have these experiences and like not be like ashamed or like embarrassed of them because it's not true. Like it's like it's just a story. Yeah, guys, what do you think about that sentence? Scale of 1 to 10.
That's hilarious.
Scale of 1 to 10.
Solid
what I
7.5.
was thinking though
Solid
is like
7.5.
if you were to go
Thank
through
you.
the plot points in your film, it's like maybe there's like 10 to 12, and like one crucial one is true,
Yes.
and then everything else is
Yes.
fictionalized, which
Thank
I guess
you,
is
AD.
the same that you were thinking of.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
She's
So like
a math major. Honestly.
Thank you.
Was that? Yeah.
That's not true, but thank
How are you, Tony? We forgot to ask you how you were.
I'm fine.
We running out of time?
we're pushing up on where I would normally wrap, but
Okay,
we can always go for longer. Like,
Great.
I don't
Let's
mind.
go
Well,
all
you worked
fucking
on
day.
like so many of our classmates' projects.
Yeah,
How many?
to the point
how
where
many
my
did?
feedback is every term, like final term thing, is like, stop working on so many things.
Yeah.
I know.
But
Did you feel overwhelmed at any point?
Sorry.
I think that's a great
thought-
question.
No,
Yeah, it is.
I in moments, not like for any long period of time, but there was like a 24-hour period.
Totally,
but like, but
Yeah.
it's not constant by any means. And honestly, like what I'm trying to get out of the program, I think is different from other people, because I came in with a lot of production background.
Yeah.
I had never been on somebody else's set before.
Right.
Like
Okay.
every set that I've ever been on was my own set.
Okay.
Like that's weird. Like
Yeah.
nobody just comes in as a director and stays at the
Has-
top the whole
Yeah.
way through.
Totally.
Sure.
But that was my experience with it. I'm the one that put together like the first 48-hour film team that I worked with, and I mean, there was one set that I was sort of on, but I'm not even sure. I feel like I even co-directed that one,
Right.
because I was helping the director like put it together. And yeah, so I've never been in like an AD role or an editing role for somebody else, or that's all the new experience. So that's what I was trying to get out of it, was I've never been these different
Right.
things. I've never been just a sound engineer, just a DP. Just
Right.
Let me try and see if I can help somebody else make their thing come to life by
Right.
being that cog in the wheel.
But you
Yeah.
are so technical. Like, what's your
Sure.
background?
I went to school for audio engineering and
Okay.
yeah, but there was like music recording, not like
Right.
engineering.
1000%.
but yeah, and I've just taught myself how to make movies over the course of the past like decade. Just buying equipment and figuring it
Yeah.
out. But yeah, no, that's I have a technical background, but it's much more. It's strictly technical. I've done some of the storytelling from the standpoint of directing it, but not writing. Like that was the other thing I was getting out of this program, was just writing stuff.
Yeah,
and going through.
I have a fun game for you to do, like at the end of your term 3.
What's that?
Which is literally type down all the productions you worked on that you were in like a big position for, and see how many actually you were on.
I think I've been on over 25 sets at this point in time since I've been here.
So sick.
So yeah,
Wowza.
Yeah,
it's a ton, but it's because like last term I DP'd for 4 of them, 4 or 5, something like that. This term I didn't DP anything. Wound up sort of co-directing one thing that I was AD, but kind of field directing, and then produced 2, edited 1 that I also did some drone work on. That was Danny's.
Yes.
Oh God, that is such a cool shot. Dude.
The opening drone shot. Yeah, it's
what?
fun.
It
For
rocks.
Danny's.
Oh, I wasn't there.
Well, you're gonna get to see it tomorrow.
I know. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Gosh, can we talk about that? Ooh. It's just I've seen a full cut of yours, a full cut of Melissa's, and that's it.
That's it.
And Melissa's, I produced hers and helped her out with audio cleanup at the end.
Oh yeah.
So sweet.
So it worked on a bunch of them. I was on
Yeah.
your set for a day too.
Yeah.
Which
I
but
put
I
you in
barely
as a
did
grip.
anything. Yeah, and I
Cool.
didn't do a whole lot. I
Right.
mostly hung out and talked to Erickson.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh.
That was my entertainment on set.
Yeah, I just counted mine. I counted it a while ago, and I told you the number, but I have made 18 short films with people here, like in like producer or AD or DP or director. And it's just like really cool to see the progress that has been made, where it's like mindless. It's like, oh, whoa, okay, I have these films now.
Now, what do I do with all this?
Somebody say something.
No, but it is cool because it's like even the things that you're like, oh wow, I'm never gonna I'm never gonna distribute this. Like it's not even gonna go online. It's still like this whole program, this whole year, I just have felt like such a sponge. It's like little mistakes that I've made in past projects. Like, oh my God, help me so much in future projects.
Have you posted anything that you've made? Like,
Yeah,
publicly.
I've posted my term 2.
Okay. I want to see it because I
It's
haven't
got like
seen
580 views
Well,
on YouTube.
she did get a prize. She
Oh,
won
yeah.
a festival.
it. Oh yeah.
I submitted to the Baltimore Sketch Fest, and I got Best in Show, and my female actress got Best Actress
Yes,
or
honey.
Best Female Performance.
Interesting,
God.
because I came from DC, so there's
Yeah.
a lot of like overlap with Baltimore people. So
I'm
I
sure.
wonder if I know some of the people that were
Right.
that were in that one.
I'll
But
check it out.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I submitted my nonfiction project to the Filmic Pro contest. And it's a finalist for that.
Oh,
So
way to go.
yeah, we'll find out in the next couple of days if
Which project was that?
it was Craigslist Inc.
Yes,
the
I saw
tattoo
that.
one.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
That one's great. Also, your the iPhone one.
that is the iPhone one.
What?
The
I
emoji
shot that
one?
with. About the iPhone. Yeah, no, that one I shot with an iPhone. That's why.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Craigslist Inc. That's why it's on the Filmic thing because I
Right,
shot it
right,
with their app.
Right.
The
yeah,
emoji one.
the Animoji,
Oh,
which
man,
wasn't
that
even
rips,
for class.
dude.
That was something I
You
wrote for Dick
experimenting?
Blasucci's workshop, and he was like, "Yeah, this one's ready to shoot." I was like, "What?"
Right.
I should go shoot
Dick
this.
Blasucci.
So I like threw
Love
that one
him.
together.
Wish
Yeah,
I could have
I'm-
spent more time with him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting him one more time.
Yeah.
So how was term 3 as far as like the content goes? Because I'm about to dive into this in 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's a fast dive.
Yeah.
You dive in and you're in the deep end and you're swimming and then you can't swim anymore and you start to sink. No,
I think you're like in such a good position
kidding.
because people that have the most trouble are people that had never been on sets before
Okay.
and like don't really have any production background. But I mean, it's like whatever you want to put into the program is what you're going to get out of it. Like
Yeah.
for real, from the get-go, I was like, I'm not going to finish a screenplay. And Kat was like, okay, try your best.
Yeah.
And, and then, 4 months later, she was like, you tried your best. That's awesome. 12 pages. Oh, my God.
Kat said that for yours?
Yeah.
Is that all the you wrote? Was 12 pages?
The thing was, I only thought of those 12 pages like halfway into term 3.
Yeah.
It was a completely new project.
Okay.
Right.
So like overall in the program, I've probably written close to 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like for easily, because I'm like one of the people who like, there's some people, you started kind of with that idea from the get-go.
But I
Whereas like I had a fucking screenplay about a bisexual dating show based on Tila Tequila. I had this new one is called Sexy Little Murder Club. Like
so
I just had
funny.
so many that were in. I had one about like two, like rich Aspen kids. Like
Yeah.
I just was all over the place because I didn't like anything. So
Yeah.
everything I started, I threw out.
I feel like with mine, I liked it so much that I just froze and like couldn't write.
Yeah. I feel like I've sort of hit that point with my feature.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't know. I'm at 54 pages in. So it's basically the little over the halfway point.
Yeah, you got this. And
But-
just like be transparent with yourself and like don't set goals that you can't hit.
Oh, you mean
know?
like write 40 pages next week?
Yeah.
I still want to try and write.
I mean, that's not
40 pages
incredible.
next
No,
week.
of course. But like
But yeah,
yeah,
it's not realistic that I will get those done, but I'm trying to have that stuff done before the beginning of the term.
yeah.
All right.
Kat sent me a schedule of like how to break out the term so that I don't kill myself.
Yeah. Oh, I love her.
And it's
God, I
like-
love her.
It's like finish all your pre-production stuff for your term 3 before term 3 starts.
Mm-hmm.
Then the first 6 weeks is just working on writing, and
Yeah.
then next 6 weeks or next 4 weeks are on the film, like the actual shooting and execution, and then the last 4 weeks are just writing again.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
That's a great schedule.
that's a great schedule that I don't know that I can do because I don't feel like I'm far enough along with my term 3 yet.
Yeah.
Like I got to do page 1 rewrite still.
Okay, but here's what I'll say. Just this would be if anyone is listening to this who's about to go on term 3, by the 3rd week of term 3, have your locations, have your cast, have your key crew.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Yeah.
really important because it's like we were stressing about a location for yours like
Yeah.
3 days in advance, and it's like that idea that it could all crash is like just so not
So
worth
terrible, yeah.
it's so not worth the stress.
Well, you almost need to have the plan A, plan B, plan C
Mhm.
Yeah.
for each of those too. So it's not about just
Exactly.
finding one location; it's about finding 3 and
For sure.
have
Yeah.
those ranked and figure out how you can transition from one to the other if it rains or if
Right.
you know some catastrophe keeps you from being able to get to that spot. So
Yeah. I will say, like, in term 3, you definitely kind of understand what your work ethic looks like in production and also separately with writing.
mm-hmm.
And also, I just want to say, we're here for you if you need help.
1000%.
that is the one thing I will say has been good about being on so many sets is that I have a lot of people doing
Ooh,
the same
owe you
thing.
favors.
Offer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that are like, hey, I want to come help with your thing, whatever it is.
Totally.
And so it's just now trying to figure out, all right, who's going to be right for
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
each position? What do I still need to bring outside people in for?
Yeah.
Mine's just it's special effects heavy, and so
On set or in post?
both.
Okay.
And
Cool.
so I need to find somebody who's like
Skilled
technical.
will be able to
Somebody
tell you
could-
if it's possible or not.
Well, I know most of it's possible. I want people that will be able to spot the problems before they happen along with me. I want somebody that can basically just check my bullshit. Like just make sure I'm not
Right.
cashing like writing a check that I can't cash.
Do you have a producer?
I have Melissa is going to be producing.
Oh, good.
And because she's helping out a lot with the story and casting and that sort of thing.
Lovely.
And then I'm looking for like a technical producer that would be able to kind of be one of those people helping me out with it. I think Dom is either going to technical produce, Dom Udell. I don't know
Yeah.
if you met-
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Uh,
Would love to see him produce.
Yeah, he's either going to produce or DP, but I think he's going to be working on it too. So yeah, we'll see. I'm having that little freak out of like I got to get the right people so this isn't all on my shoulders because I don't want
Yeah.
it to just be
Right.
so.
And I think, yeah, that's so smart because just speaking from my experience of like my set, like sure, there were stressful moments, but I felt so taken care of in like every way that like I think that was probably like the best experience I'll probably ever have on a set, just because it's like so new and everyone's like, yes, what do you need, and blah blah blah. So yeah,
But
I would
that's, I think if it's your set, like at the end of the day, like if you get down the wire, 8-10 years from now, and you're making your own things and you're directing it, you get to build that set again.
Oh, for
and you can even go hire a lot of the people that were
1,000,000%.
working on this with you here, that were helping take care of you and everything like that. And the difference is they're going to be that much happier because they're actually getting a paycheck for it.
Yeah,
Right. Oh my God, I cannot wait to have money and be able to pay
can't wait to
everyone.
have money. Yeah.
Gosh.
Can't wait to be rich. Ugh.
And it's not even necessarily about making the money yourself; it's be able to pay other people.
Exactly. Well, yeah,
100%.
because it's like, there's just so many people that are so talented, and I just feel bad when
Yeah.
I'm
You
like,
deserve more than
you
just
know?
some craft services. Like you
Yeah,
deserve.
like some
Right.
Potbelly sandwich. Like you deserve.
Yeah, everyone
the
deserves more than a Potbelly sandwich,
Yeah.
honestly.
Did I
Well-
get Potbellies on mine?
The first day.
Oh.
Oh.
I thought you meant today for a second.
Oh, did I? What did I eat today, Grace? Yeah,
Yeah, I get to figure all that stuff out.
Exactly.
That's all coming up.
you
But
got this. You have help.
so in kind of wrapping up, if somebody were trying to or thinking about like applying for this school or some other school like it, what advice would you give to them?
That's such a good question. Like, don't lose faith in the program. I think there were times where I was
Sure.
like, this sucks. I
Yeah.
hate this. Because just like where my head is at for me, like term 1, term 2, I was like, this sucks. Like, I want to be performing every night. And
Yeah.
I also want to go out and
Be a human.
and so that was really hard. But it's like my term 3, I've never legitimately felt impressed by myself. Like ever. I don't even know why I would have before
Right?
this. Like what would I ever have been impressed by? Like I truly feel like I pulled off a heist with my
Aw.
term 3. Like
Yeah.
so that's not really advice as much as it is like you can do it too.
Right.
If you put in the work, like all the tools are here for you at this school.
Right. And like the tools aren't necessarily like actual tools for knowledge, but like humans. And
The
it's
toolkit is there.
Yeah, and it's 1 year. It is 1 year of your life. You can do this for 1 year of your life. You cannot do this for 2 years of your life, though.
Right.
Like at this intensity, which I think I'm so grateful that this is just a 1 year program.
Yeah.
Because like, you'll hear Angie. She's like, "This is just not sustainable. This work ethic. You need to like find
Work-life balance. Be able to get away from it. Yeah.
And it's so weird. Like all the most like successful people that I've seen come in here, they all have some like spiritual side, whether it's like meditating or like, acupuncture. I don't know if that's spiritual.
It's a little holistic. Yeah. It's in
Yeah.
that territory.
But it's like, oh yeah, like you need something.
Or at least
like,
a way to give yourself balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I sound like such a douchebag, but realistically, for me, I benefit more from like going out at night and being tired in class the next day than I do just like sitting in bed till 3 a.m. Not sleeping.
Yeah.
You know?
You're one of those you recharge out in public.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have an ounce of introversion.
Yeah.
See, I try and like spend myself out in public and then go home and just be on my own. Like
Yeah,
me,
I
and-
recharge
me and my
alone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
well, cool. Well, thank you all so much for
Thank you
coming
so
on.
much,
I
Tony.
appreciate
This
it.
was so
Tony,
fun.
This is so fun.
I love you,
Bridey.
Oh, ew.
Okay, thank
Weirdest
you.
way to end the podcast.
I love you, Grace.
Thank you. That was Grace Kuhlenschmidt. Thank you to Grace and to Bridey Hicks for joining us, and additional thanks, as always, to the Harold Ramis Film School and the Second City staff for their help. The song on this week's episode was A Little Time by the Great Heights Band off their new album, Rad-Pop. Pick up the album today on iTunes and Google Play. This show is recorded and edited by me, Tony Lazzeroni. If you want to hear more from me and my classmates, teachers, and a few special guests, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions or comments, send us an email at filmstudentpod@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Instagram at filmstudentpod. And be sure to check out some of my and my classmates' work at filmstudentpod.com. See you all next week. Class dismissed.